This question is for the whole panel. As people who are famous on the internet, when you're just kind of out in real life and you go to a bar maybe and you meet some random person you haven't met before, is it more weird and awkward when they do know who you are or when they don't know who you are?
There's actually what I think is the most weird and awkward. Ryan mentioned not liking to date people who knew the comic or who knew him through that. And it's sort of weird if someone doesn't know the comic, it's cool, and if they know it, that's also that means they're someone who you'd like and get along with. What's the weirdest is when they seem to be friendly, but they've read the comic and don't like it.
They know all your stories.
Yeah, they know all your stories, and you feel like they've seen everything about you and they've made a judgment, and now they're just humoring you by talking to you.
It's tricky to start when you've already got this fan relationship in place. It's a one-sided relationship, and they like you already, and you feel like you have something to live up to. Although I wanted to clarify what you said, Randall. I have dated a woman who did read my comic, and she was great, and I don't regret it. But in case she's watching, she was fantastic. But yeah. But it's nice when you start on even ground, because in a relationship it's sort of hard to negotiate that initial inequality where you know me and I don't know you and you've heard all my jokes, which is sad.
I've had this happen multiple times where I start telling, take something he said and riffing into a little bit of a story, go toward a joke, and then they sort of stare and they're like, I know you did this as a comic. And I'm like,
I've never only one time have I ever been spotted in public and somebody drove by me and yelled, do a barrel roll. And so I did. And that was the end of it. But, it's hard to meet people in public when you live in your basement, as I do.
Yeah.
The couple of...
I can't drink. I'm -9.
A couple of posts off of our back channel here. Moot is getting the questions here. What's your favorite 4chan meme?
Certainly not Rickroll. At this point, and I really did like it because I like the song. It's catchy, but I want to stop hearing about it now. It's something that it's like tarnished by the fact that everybody's kind of ruined it. I love it and I hate it. So that's actually kind of like my least favorite, most favorite, if that makes any sense.
That's a big problem when you hang out in the places where these things are created, is that by the time enough people know about it for you to be able to do it in a context where there's a big group and it'll be funny, the people who are in the community that you're in are already sick of it. And I remember back when it was duck rolling, and then it was.
People don't remember even the genesis. They don't know that. When they hit the mainstream, they don't see that.
And so I had these gags with rickrolling for a while where I had to decide, I had to wait until it had been around long enough that the average reader would know what I was talking about. But by that time, the core crazy internet people, who are also the people who write on your forums and send you mail, all have been hearing about it for 6 months or a year, and they're like, this joke is so dead. And I'm sort of want to say, but there are most of the readers here who are hearing about it now for the first time. So you have to strike a balance, and that's always tricky.
I actually really like one I forgot is Ouija. I don't think Ouija is like the most underappreciated meme. But if Ouija broke out in the mainstream, I probably wouldn't like it anymore. But Ouija is awesome. Only 5 people know what it is. That's a good sign.
So one more up here. People seem to want to know how often you post on 4chan and what your typical course of activity is. I feel like there's a joke rolled up in there.
What's the second part of the question?
What's your typical course of activity?
First of all, I don't know what that means. The second part.
Neither.
But I do post. I mean, I use my website every single day, a lot, too much. And I can't ban myself from my own website. It's very difficult. A lot of people will actually email me asking to be banned because they spend too much time on 4chan. But I don't post very frequently anymore because, earlier at the memes panel, we were talking about how on Dig and Reddit, some of the users, once they comment, they kind of kill they kill it because everybody kind of bandwagons around them. And that's what happens with me on 4chan, is if I say anything as moot, with my trip code, my cap code, it destroys the thread. And so really good threads that I like, I can't, it sucks because I can't comment on them. But obviously 4chan is anonymous, so I do post, and but I don't post as moot, I post as anonymous. And so you won't see me posting, but I do post. And the few times I do post, you'll see that I just killed a thread.
And that's a good thing about both posting anonymously on the internet and meeting people in bars or whoever who haven't heard of the comic, is that it keeps you grounded. Like where you can start to think like, oh God, every idea I have is awesome, and then but like every now, spending a fair bit of time with people who do not know who you are, where they will actually tell you honestly like what they think when you say something. That is, I think, really, really good for you, like, if you're used to it, in this kind of situation. So I think 4chan is, and I've actually used, I'm on R9K more than
R9K was actually, and we owe this to Randall. R9K is a 4chan board we added where it's got a script that kind of hashes the comment, and it checks new comments against the database of hashes, so you essentially can't repeat what other people have said. And the point of that is to promote, new content. And he implemented that in his IRC chat, well, in one of the IRC chat channels. And one of our moderators saw it and took it, and we rolled it out. And it's definitely been really interesting to see that board mature, because at first people didn't understand it. They were like, what is this, a board about robots? And it's not. Yeah. But, and to see people playing with the filter and seeing what would get them muted and what wouldn't, and that's actually been a really awesome experience to watch R9K. So I agree, R9K rocks.
Yeah, and it's good, posting there when I'm posting anonymously, I don't have anything set up to identify myself, because then I can see like feedback, real life feedback from total assholes, like who are going to be harsh and give me the criticism,
and that's what, anonymity in 4chan, that's one of, a lot of junk may come out of 4chan, but it does offer, I'm a large fan of anonymous posting because it evens the playing field. The content of what you're saying is what separates you from others, not your user ID, not your reg date, your nickname. Yeah. People, you can't bandwagon around anonymous because, anonymous is everybody. So I like that.
Okay, this question is mostly for Moot, somewhat for Randall. Sorry, Ryan. Do you feel like the communities or cults that you've created were something that society was crying out for, and like if you hadn't created them, someone else would have made something like it, or basically was it inevitable?
Well, definitely, because 4chan is, 4chan is the English counterpart of 2chan. So I didn't invent image boards. What I did was merely promote them in, outside of Japan, and they really caught on. So eventually, sure, somebody would have come along and created an English version of 2chan. I mean, I assume so. I mean, I can't, I don't know that, but I would assume that they would, because 2chan is giant in Japan, and so is Nichanaru. But, I guess I created 4chan, and that spawned a whole bunch of, a lot of what we see on the internet today, internet culture kind of stuff. And that's what keeps me happy about running 4chan, actually. That's the positive part of it. There are a lot of negatives, but, just to know that we do have some sort of a good impact on the internet is, I don't know, heartening a little bit.
Yeah, I think in neither of these cases is it really that, we're giving these people something that they wouldn't have otherwise, so much as giving them like